Hey everyone, I hope you had a great week. I spent a technology-free weekend at the beach and as a result really couldn't get to working on my blog until today after class. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the market and how that works here in Guatemala and also share with you an experience how Antigua celebrated their birthday. So this last Tuesday I was able to observe some of the celebrations for the birthday, quote-unquote, of Antigua. March 10th of 1543 is when the conquistadors came from Spain and settled here in this city, kind of founded it and claimed it for their own. As a result, pretty much every single fountain I came across over the course of the Tuesday and Wednesday was covered with flowers. Seeing this was really cool for me just because I was able to see how the people of Antigua remembered some things in their past. So here in Guatemala, there are a ton of different ways that you can go shopping. So they have supermarkets, which are a lot like our Walmart or Meijer or something like that. They also have giant malls, which are incredibly expensive, and little tiendas that are kind of scattered around everywhere. But the vast majority of people do all their shopping at the market, el mercado. The main difference between a market and a normal store is that in a market you have to barter, which means if the person says, oh, I want 10 quetzales for that, and you say, oh, it's not worth 10 quetzales, it's only worth about 6. So you say, oh, no, I'll pay 3, and they say, okay, 9, and you say, okay, 4, and they say, okay, 8, and then you say, oh, 5 will do, and they say, well, what about 7? You say, how about 6? And he's like, okay, 6. So you actually end up buying it for the price. That's what bargaining is. And in the market, it's the main form of settling on a price for just about anything. Another huge difference about the market from a supermarket is that the food is incredibly fresh. So that chicken you're buying was literally walking around alive this morning. Or that fruit that you're just buying was growing on a tree early this morning. Here in Antigua, there are basically 2 different great areas to the market. There's an outdoor part where stuff tends to be cheaper and they tend to sell a lot more of the fruit and vegetables, and an indoor market which tends to sell more things like meat. But they also can be pretty interchangeable as far as what things they buy, and other objects like clothing or CDs, stuff for the house, those can be pretty much bought in either area. One other really cool area in the market of Antigua is something that's called the paca, which is essentially like a second-hand store for American clothing. And the quality of this clothing tends to be a lot higher than the clothing that's sold in the regular market, and it's also a lot cheaper. The reason it's so cheap is because most Guatemalans don't really want to buy clothing secondhand. But it's still a really great way, especially in my case, to buy something I need, like a new pair of shoes. I've actually gone through 2 or 3 pairs of shoes during my time here just because the cobblestone streets are so hard on my shoes. This last weekend, our whole group from my university went and spent a few days technology-free on basically it was either a peninsula or an island, but it was a very small beach with pretty much nobody else there besides us. Very, very cool experience.
So this is the bungalow that we're staying in for the weekend. It's pretty sweet. Kayla's just enjoying the hammock on our front porch right now, which I have to admit is pretty darn awesome. Right here we're walking in. There's Kayla's bed, my bed, and a dark bathroom. There it is. It's really basic, and I'm pretty sure there's no hot water, but that's okay because it's really hot here. And we have a thatch roof, and it doesn't really close the whole way, but that is sweet, and I'm so pumped for this weekend.
So I didn't just relax on the beach all weekend. Although I did spend quite a bit of time in some hammocks, on Saturday I went with a small group of people on a tour of a mangrove forest that's in the area around the island. This was pretty cool just because I've never seen mangrove trees before. There's really cool trees. Their branches essentially send out roots down to the water and it looks like arms kind of stretching out like they're thirsty. So the word for this week is probably one that you never would hear spoken if you ever came and visited Guatemala. If you've ever seen the movie Mary Poppins, or maybe if you haven't, you probably still know the word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It's a word that means nothing, but at the same time means anything you want it to mean. So here in Guatemala, they also have a word similar to that that's in Spanish, and by no means can I say it fast, but I have it written down. Paranwara tuti rimi cuaro. So there's a nonsense word for you, but you can essentially make it mean anything you want it to mean. Alright, so that's it for this week. I'm headed off to go to the U.S. Embassy this next Thursday, so I get to meet the ambassador probably and learn a lot about the government here in Guatemala. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later.